TNT, they got Kenny Smith. AllBall TV, they got the legend, Mr. Gibbs, Kenny Anderson. AllBall TV, they scared, but I'm not. They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.
It's getting spooky out here, man.
Yeah, it really is. My man Kevin Durant went at my man Stephen A. Smith. You know, and I get him. I get all the athletes. You know, the athletes nowadays are real sensitive. They're very sensitive, and Stephen A. You know, that's my guy. He's from Queens. Played with my mentor. You know, Vincent Smith. Played on the team and everything like that. So I understand him. You know, that's his hustle. That's his job, and he has to find that way, you know, and he has it. Got the #1 show on TV on ESPN, First Take. It's awesome, but you know he's gonna have run-ins, man, with these young players. And Kevin Durant, one of the best ever that ever played the game. But you know, as far as with the media, I think a lot of these players nowadays are a little bit sensitive with the media. You got to get off that.
Let me introduce this right, Kenny, because this is called the bochinche. Not for nothing. This ain't about basketball. This is about the bochinche. And Kevin Durant, he basically said that the Phoenix Suns remind him of the Kansas City Chiefs. And, you know, people may have had an issue with it, but Stephen A. Smith responds to it. You ain't even a leader like that, basically. You never led your team in that manner. And Kevin Durant called out Stephen A. Smith by saying, I've never seen him anywhere but on TV talking ish about players. He's a clown to me. He's always been a clown. You can write that too.
Yeah.
But why? And this was Stephen A. Smith's response on TV. He didn't want to get petty, but this was his response.
Who's allowed to talk about him? Charles Barkley played this game as a Hall of Famer. He got a Charles Barkley. Shannon Sharp is a Super Bowl champion, a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and a Hall of Famer. You got it, Shannon. He's gotten at players, the C.J. McCollums of the world, the Dennis Schroeders of the world, and others. He's gotten at fans, and oh, by the way, did it discreetly because he had accounts that didn't reveal who he was. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of things. So I don't understand it. It's contemporaries and colleagues, it's former players, it's present players, it's the media, it's the fans, it's whomever. You know, is anyone allowed to talk about Kevin Durant? Anybody at all?
I think that's pretty much the gist of what Stephen A. was saying. And then he followed up on his own show. He left the most savory part for his own show where he did finally make the points of, hey, what happened with Brooklyn? What happened with OKC? What happened? And, you know, these are the things that we're talking about when we go to Phoenix, where this is your reputation flea. Some people have a reputation before they go to a new place. And all Stephen A. Smith was saying is that, hey, this is what I'm looking at. So based on your rep, you know, I have a reason to believe that you ain't a leader like that. And all he has back is that, you know, all KD had was that Stephen A's a clown. But Kenny, your point is what? What is your response to like Kevin Durant and just to the media and everything like that?
Just play, man. You know, you can't take everything personal. And I think that's what we in this world, you know, that's what they like. The fans, they like it. Just play, man. It's not. What is it affecting? You know, what is it going to affect Kevin Durant? He's still a great player. He'll go down as one of the best that ever played the game. And you know, this is my thing with Kevin. He is one of the best. But he was at Golden State. They won. And then he went to Brooklyn. They almost won. Then OKC. They almost won. I want to see him take Phoenix over the top. Now I want to see him take Phoenix to win a championship because that's what he wanted to do anyway.
You saw him last night. You saw him last night, didn't he?
He did it. He scored. He did it. No, he has the game, but I think he has to have the right personnel around him for him to excel. Because it can't. He could be the one that's riding the bus, but he also gonna have to have those other passengers on the bus that's helping them.
Real quick. Real quick, man. Big shout out. Listen, man, the legend, big bro in the building, Kenny Anderson. Always love and support. We appreciate you. Everybody in the chat, share, like, comment, hit that like button. Kenny, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Number 2 draft pick. How would you have dealt with Stephen A. Smith today if you was a player?
That's today.
Right, today. You right now, Kenny Anderson, number 2. Go ahead.
The way I am, the way I was brought up. So, my mother criticized me to death. So, the papers really didn't, the people that was writing articles and, talking about me, it really didn't affect me. It was like, oh, I probably would have said like, oh, he's a clown. I ain't listening, and just kept it moving though. That's what I would have said. I don't know, but I wouldn't have been affected by it as much. The media never really, affected me. I just played the game and did what I did, and and actually, my freshman year, in high school, college, I stopped reading the paper. I'm not sure when, but I stopped reading it, and I didn't want to hear it because you can hear the great things about you, but then you can't. You got to be effective when the bad things about you is talked about. So I really kept it in house, and I really didn't read the paper, and all my family, my friend. I didn't want to hear it, the negative or the positive, and I just kept it moving like that.
So that leads me to this next question. Shout out to Darlene in the building. Always gotta show you love, Darlene.
What's up, Darlene?
Darlene, we appreciate you.
Kevin Durant is part of the super team era, and he's always alongside a superstar. And like we just mentioned earlier, you were a super duper star coming out of New York. So how do you deal with a teammate who can't be like, or who's not like you and does read the media? How do you interact with them? Like, yo, let's get in the game.
That's interesting because we was in a different era. I played with Derek Coleman, myself, Drazen Petrovic. It was a lot of wildness going on. I just stayed to myself, who I was. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't let it affect me. Chris Morris. These are my guys now today. But they had some run-ins with some newspaper people that said a lot of bad things and whatever about our organization and about the players and things of that nature. I went through it. Being a superstar at 14 years old in New York, I went through it my whole life with the media, so I knew how to handle it.
Okay, now let's get serious. Let's get serious now, Kenny. They threw you a couple softballs and let you home run them shits. Let's get serious now. Let me ask you something for real. And I love my brother. I'm just messing with you. I love my brothers. But hold on. Let me late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Fabian said, if you were in this era today, how would you have dealt with, that interaction between Kevin Durant and Stephen A. Smith? I want to ask you, let's put it back in your era, in your time, and let's create First Take. Let's create Twitter. Let's create Instagram. Let's create this 24/7 social media news cycle where it's not just the paper. It's you seeing it from all angles. How would you have been able to deal with that in that era?
Wow. Now, individually,
yes,
with my upbringing and with my people, I would have been pretty cool with, but the other players around me in the lead and everything, it would have been nuts. They couldn't. It would have been nuts. That with all this social media, it would have been nuts. They would have had to get a grip with it because a lot of players would have been in their faces and all that, and it would have been more fights. Imagine Charles Barkley. He would have wilded out. You know what I'm saying? Just numerous players I know, but I just can't, say their names right offhand, would have been nuts in this era of the media. But like I said, I was brought up in this, you know, in New York in the era. So, you know, I wasn't, you know, I learned from my high school coach, Jack Curran, my mentor, Vincent Smith. You know, I understood it from a young age, you know, the media and what they're trying to do and what they're about. So I would have brushed it off like, trying to sell papers, trying to sell itself. I'm gonna keep it moving.
So you please anticipating a lot of Joel Embiid moving, shoving, and grubbing going on.
No, because I wanted to ask Kenny.
Yeah.
Well, in that era, what did it take for somebody of your caliber or a player in the league to become offended or get sensitive?
Now,
what did it take?
Outside now, something about the family, something about nothing to do with basketball. Then you got issues. Then you got problems. When it wasn't nothing about basketball. When it was just on your personal situation. Now basketball, you know, is that's the job at hand. That's what we're playing. So that's how you should be. You know, you ask about. But then when you get personal with the family and all that, that's different.
Now,
That's low. That's low blows. That's low blows.
Let me ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, like you said, Stephen A is your guy, and I feel, you know, I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I think this situation with KD, I don't think Stephen A. Smith said anything wrong or disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about how, you know, a lot of players can't separate, you know, emotions and feelings with reality? Even though you may not like Stephen A. Smith, he's not always wrong. And in this instance, your opinion on, is Kevin Durant going a little too hard because he personally doesn't like Stephen A. Smith?
That could be a major problem, a major issue with that situation. There's a lot of players I see nowadays in the NBA do not like Stephen A. Smith. So it's they could throw things at him. You know, when he's talking about the game of basketball, the job that you do, I don't see no problems with that. If that is affecting you, then something is wrong with you. If we, the media guys, is talking about your game, that's a problem. You know, on you if you sensitive and you want to go at, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got to get bigger and beyond that issue and move on. You know.
I think that's ultimately the point with KD. Is like you got burner accounts, like Stephen A. Smith said. You on the low on social media, and it's like, where's that energy on the court though? To be honest, and I'm not gonna put you on the spot because that is Kevin Durant's biggest critique. Oh, he's been a part of big time talented teams. Yeah. This is not his only talent. The last 10 years he spent with super talents. Yeah. So why haven't you gotten over the hump? It's all about how to get along in the locker room, and it comes along with trying to lead not just the team but the organization. So it's tough. And I don't know. I guess you were talking about that with Joel Embiid as well. It's like once you talk about a family member, is how do you respond to that in the locker room?
No, now Kevin Durant, this is what I wonder also. He's not a verbal leader. He's not a verbal leader. And that's just he's worked extremely hard on basketball and on the court, and that's it. He really doesn't say anything about the team, his players, who he's with. It's really interesting. That's an interesting topic right there. But I don't know. You know, I love him as a player and everything, but it's just tough when he's not a verbal leader. He's just not a verbal leader at all. I'm like, wow.
You wouldn't find that annoying? Like, you should do a lot of talking, KD. Like, leave that alone, please. Like, I think I would.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm not sure how his plays are. Now, I don't know how his plays of his teams are. Maybe they're just on him, on that. Oh, that's Kevin Durant. That's our guy. He's a great player, him. So he can say and do whatever.
Right.
That's not true. Somebody should be in his ear. So who's a veteran on his team that can bring him to the side and say, hey, yo, you should be doing this, doing that, doing it. I don't know.
He's the vet though. Yeah. Like he's the 18-year pro. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to know. For him to say, you know, I've been in the league 18 years. I've never seen Stephen A in locker rooms. You know, he gave this whole soliloquy on, you know, validating what he did. But you the vet.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, though, Kenny. What I'm seeing is, and I want you, you know, to speak to this. It seems like a lot of these guys have or think they have relationships with these personalities and these people that are critiquing them. Does that get conflated? Like, are they mixing up? Well, I know him personally. That's my man, and you know he got to do his job. Like, is there a fine line between that?
Yeah, definitely a fine line. But I don't think you think these players are really in with some of the reporters and things of that nature.
They seem to take it so personal. Like,
so
you know, like
you got a point there. Why you taking it so personal? Just play, man. And move on, you know, and don't get caught up to what the media has to make a story about anything about the team, and you're the star player on that team, so they're gonna make up anything, and you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. If you're a great player is gonna, you know, going to deal with it sometime, but then sometime when they're losing and everything, the frustration might get to the players, and they might handle things differently and go, wow, I shouldn't have. But it's too late for all of that, you know. But I think it's go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, man, great conversation, man. You know, like I said, and I'm gonna repeat it. You know, you don't have to be a fan of Stephen A. Smith, but he's done a hell of a job and created a hell of a career. And just because we don't like somebody personally doesn't mean they're always wrong. And you know, Kevin Durant, for me, needs to be, you know, a little careful how he responds to things, because his sensitivity showed when he got into it with Draymond and he couldn't man up and fight through that, and he skipped town and left Golden State, to me, which was probably the worst decision he's made in his career. So, you know, it just goes to show how sensitive he is. And with that, Ken, I want to ask you, a lot of these guys today, with y'all guys, how y'all was back in that era, just mentally tough. Could a lot of these guys last 10, 15, 20 years playing in your era just mentally?
Nah, not most of these guys couldn't. Like, I'm not saying 10 to 15, 10 to 15, maybe 5 to 8 years, they'll be able to, but we just was mentally tough. We had to be. You know, now it's more the players controlling the lead because of the amount of money these players are getting. Before it was the commissioner, the GMs, and they was running the lead, and the players, we couldn't say much. We couldn't say much. So it's a lot different, and eras are different, and the game is bigger, making more money. I understand that, but it's just now some of these 20 years ago, some of these young now the talented players probably could have played in any era, but some of these guys couldn't play in our era. I know that for sure. They couldn't have played.
Wow.
How would you, as a teammate, how would you respond to a situation like with Joel Embiid? Someone talking about your family and everything. Because for me, I don't like how Daryl Morey and them came down and apologized. Elton Brand, don't apologize to that reporter. Find out what happened first. But if you put yourself
so I think you don't know if they didn't find out what happened first, did you?
Only on AllBall TV, we were suggesting 3-point shots for OG Anunoby, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 shots for that game against the Rockets. They do not defend the 3-point shot well. So guess what? I was on DraftKings. I won my parlay. I don't know about you. Come on, man. The NBA is finally back. A new season means new ways to get into the action of DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Who's draining threes from beyond the arc? OG Anunoby is. Who's crashing the balls and grabbing rebounds? Hey, Giannis Antetokounmpo is. Get behind your favorite players and the prop bets you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. First time, new DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Every point counts with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code ABTV. That's code ABTV for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you just bet $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8878-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. Tune in weeknight 6 p.m. every single weeknight 6 p.m. AllBall TV. Knicks Rehab. AllBall TV. They scared, but I'm not. They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.